Dialed in at 12:55. So 2 green lights. They're on their way. Here comes the quarter-mile finish line, and it says Jeff Homan is moving on. 12:54 with an 8 on the 12:55 dial. He was under. Carson Barlow is not going around number 2. He turns it red. So Sylvia Hoogstens is racing towards her own win light. Essentially gets a time trial this morning. She goes 12:61 on the 12:70 prediction. Eileen Davis and Jack Hodgson. Attention in the pits. Attention in the pits. Street Machine B. Street Machine Bob, come on down. Street Machine Bob, this is your call to the staging lanes. Street Machine Bob, to the lanes, please. By way of her reaction time, so we'll see Colleen come back for round 2. Lawrence Charnell will also be coming back to round 2 as Eric Hansen turns it red by 45 thou. He'll get the handicap on the starting line. There he goes. Keith Peterson does a very good job of waiting for his side of the tree to come down. 2 green lights. Gord's out in front for now. He does not get the win. Gary Conto in the right lane, not able to hold it on the starting line. Harry Oldacker is advancing. Lat. Rick Tassan goes trip zip red. 0.0008 red. So don't have drivers' names for these 2 guys. Little Camaro in the right lane dialed 1150. Chevelle dialed 1424. Chevelle gets there first and gets the win. 1430 on the 1424 dial. In the wheel of the family Camaro. Green light for Kirsty. And another green light for Terry Hoogstens. Hoogstens in the Nova. Trying to run down the Camaro. It looks like he's going to do that quite handily. So he's caught her. Now he's just kind of parking beside her. And he gets the job done. 1282 on the 1190 dial. Dialed in at 1199. Well, I'm thinking Veronica's going to be very happy with herself. It was on the brakes, getting behind. Saying, no, I don't want any part of that stripe. Oh, Kevin McCauley leaves well with an 029 light, but then the car stalls. Oh, man. Unfortunately for him, Sam Burton was not willing to just run it all out. So Marvette's Tower Side out of Everson, Washington. What, did he move? He used to live in Linden. So Mitchell McCartney out front for now. Can he stay there? No, he cannot. Now Rod Rimmer taking on Cassie Tippie. Rimmer, left lane. TCS side of the track behind the wheel of a 67 Chevelle. Cassie Tippie's moving on. 1177. Here we go. So 2 red lights. So Ryan Ledrette in the right lane behind the wheel of the Chevelle taking on this little dart. 2 green lights and they both started with a 0. We got a drag race. Ledrette goes dead one on the 1152 dial. But in doing so was 15 thousandths of a second under the 1178 dial. So Ryan Ledrette moving on. Again, no name, Tower Lane. Tower Lane with the win. Both Chevrolets. 66 Tower side, 1970 Spectator side. So nobody's going to be bragging about their lights. So Matt Hall gets to the stripe first by 9 thou, but he is full gear in the right lane. Behind the wheel of the Firebird. 2 red lights. Luke Staber was the lesser offender. Now Al Prock and Rob Monroe, a couple of regulars here at Mission. Wow, Rob Monroe was there for the taking. His Street Machine A, please report to the staging lanes. And with that, we'll give a standby call to Street Classic A. Street Classic A, this is your standby call. We need you to be ready to go. Blair Charnovsky with the win light on. 1110 on the 11 flat dial, good enough to get it done. John Vanderven and James Dobson out there now, a couple of Camaros. Dobson's moving on, wins the double breakout. Well, Ross Walker's your winner. John McLean not able to hold the car in the beams. In the right lane will leave first. And he is your winner. Kerry Riedlinger not able to be patient enough. Almas in a 69 Dart. Dials just 2 hun apart. Reaction times about a 1/10.5 apart. So John Van Campbell with an easy win, 994 on the 984 dial. Good enough to get the job done. Take a wheels high launch out of the Little Mercury. There we go. So just 5 thou separate them by reaction time. Win light comes on for Matt Warner. 10:55 on the 10:51 dial. 11 seconds exactly. Rory Roman in the Little Rambler, dialed 11:21. Roman with a big starting line advantage. He was 004. Nice job there. Attention in the pits. We're looking for Irene Cocatello. Irene Cocatello. We're looking for you in the staging lanes. McLennan and TJ Stagg. McLennan in the Little Falcon. Stagg in the 68 Pontiac. Or should be leaving slightly ahead. Well, if you were watching, Dale Posnick actually left first, but in doing so, turned it very red. McCartney over here, Tower side. This one's over quickly as Len turns it red. McCartney with a freebie. NHRA legal stock eliminator car. Luchinsky with the starting line advantage. And the win light. How about 1095 with a 7 on the 1095 dial, taking 21 thou at the stripe. Attention in the pits, attention in the pits, Street Classic A. Jason Field trying to run down Mike Kenworthy. Oh, looks like he's got it done, no problem. No. It's Mike Kenworthy to the stripe first by 38 thou. Goes 819 on the 815 dial. C, we need you to the staging lanes. One more time, Canada West Door Slammers Group C. Basically anyone who's not in the lanes. We need you to the lanes now. Adam DeYoung turns it red by just 8 thousandths of a second. Mark Thompson with a freebie here in round number 1. Paul Soares red by guess how much? 1 thou. Paul Stretch was green. Oh yeah, baby, 2 green lights. Oh, Katnick's out of it. This should be a freebie for Dave Warren, but what does he do? He runs under the dial with nobody beside him. Marcus for Woody Nelson Racing in memory of John Marcus. Shaflita, red by 1 thou. Marcus was absolutely ready with a 009 light, then goes 809 with a 5 on the 810 dial while he Scotty Robinson's going around number 2. Schulte in the right lane, dialed 760. Now we got 4 bulbs lit. Here we go. Couple of green lights, one considerably better than the other. Somebody's got 51 thou in their back pocket, and it is your winner. Brad Powell moves on. Rusiano, he was 008 on the tree, dialed in at 863. Attention in the pits, attention in the pits. Street Rod, this is your call to the staging lanes. Street Rod, come on down to the staging lanes once again. He faces Ken Christensen. Starting line advantage of 5/10 thousandths of a second for Ken Christensen. Clearly that's not what made the difference. Dialed in at 840. Mike Sapine goes 273 on the tree, then he's on and off the gas a couple of times. Andy Hatton's going to be kicking himself. Oh, man. Paul DeBris Sr. is red by 7/10 thousandths of a second. Howie Winklehorst is your winner. Anthony Katnick turns it red. Dale Phillips is moving on. So Darren Buick was very red, and Brian Ritchie wasn't. We love Peton Industries. So a couple of green lights, one much greener than the other. Being too green is not necessarily a good thing. Jeff Holman moving on. He was 0.23 on the tree, then goes 12.63 on the 12.50 there now. In the beams, Colleen Davis and Harry Oldacker. Oldacker in the right lane in that very cool 65 Chevy panel. Colleen Davis, the 65 Chevy 2, gets the job done, wins a double breakout. We give the starting line handicap to Lawrence in the 68 Chevelle. A couple of green lights, they both start with a 1. Pickup truck passes the Chevelle around the 1,000-foot mark, then goes dead on with an 8, taking 34 thou at the stripe. Mopar versus Ford, Sam Burton in the Falcon. Burton working on a dial of 1310. Keith Peterson with his work cut out for him. Did not do himself any favors on the starting line, but he is moving on nevertheless. Sam Burton. Now Brad Friesian and Cassie Tippie. Friesian behind the wheel of the fair lane, left lane. Cassie Tippie behind the wheel of the wagon in the right lane, and it is Cassie Tippie moving on. Dead 3 on the 1173 dial. Take Hoogstens. So one of these drivers with 90 thousandths of a second advantage in his back pocket. It is your winner, Terry Hoogstens. Gets to the stripe first by 31 thou to be a full 10th above the dial, but it's in Ledrette. Sylvia dialed 1265 in the Mustang. Ledrette dialed 1154 in the Chevelle. Sylvia out in front trying to stay there. Can she get it done? It is Ryan Ledrette moving on. Ledrette to the stripe first by 35 thou. Hodgson in the right lane. Taking on the Ford Fairlane in the left lane. Fairlane with all kinds of wheel spin off the starting line. And it looks like Veronica's going to be able to hang on, and she does. 12:28 on the 12:03, good enough. This is your call to the back of the lane, Street Classic A. Please report to the rear staging where we will ladder you up. TJ Stagg on a single, 10:26. It's what he predicts, goes 10:22. Player dialed in at 11 seconds exactly, Rob Monroe. Dialed 10:52. Rob Monroe moving on. Van Campbell dialed 986 with the big block under the hood. Walker dialed 1013 with the small block under the hood. Look at that, Walker's ahead already. How does that work? So Ross Walker's moving on. 1014 on the 1013 dial. Dialed 1055. Dobson dialed at 1062. Kind of liking Warner's chances here. Sure enough, Warner turns the wind light on, taking 30 thou at the stripe. Jim McIsaac in the right lane. Uh-oh. So Jim McIsaac goes to get on the trans brake. Trans brake did not hold. Car lurched forward out of the beams before the tree came down. McCartney, rather. McCartney in the right lane. 67 Falcon. Jim Isherwood in the left lane, 66 Satellite. McCartney's your winner, 11:04 on the 1099 dial. Good enough to get the job done. So John Baczynski's moving on. Goes 1097 on the 1094 dial. So Jim Benke and Roy Roman. Roman out front. Well, no, Roman turned it red. Benke was ready to go, had an 012 light, then goes 1021 with a 0 on the 1021 dial. John Nielsen, Ralph Ehlers is moving on. Nielsen unable to hold it in the beams. Ray Bander's your winner. Matt B turning it red. Now Vic Senra, tower side of the racetrack. Dialed in at 1040. Very patient man. Watching Tony Picciarello drive away. 55 Chevy way out front, but here comes that Ford pickup truck. Does not get there first, but does pick up the win. Tony Picciarello well under the 16 flat prediction with a 1552. Driving the Studebaker pickup truck, dialed in at 1155. Friesian behind the wheel of 64 Fairlane, dialed in at 1220. 2 green lights. Win light in the right lane for Tim Cordner. That Studebaker pickup truck coming back. Don't have, oh, there it is, Colin Moore. In the right lane, Colin's your winner. His light wasn't great, but it was green. And that's all it needed to be, as Kristen turns it red by 75 thou. So a couple little Fords on the starting line, as I was saying. John Konowalchuk, Paul Carr. Now, Paul Carr is more the regular guy, and he does get the win. Fairly lucky to do so, as he got absolutely left behind on the starting line. That brings up Randy Hermsen in the big Oldsmobile. That thing is literally a tank going down the track. Mark Goddard trying to reel him in at the finish line, not able to do it. It is Randy Hermsen to the stripe first by 21 thou. Attention in the pits. Canada West Door Slammers Group A. Canada West Door Slammers Group A. Come on down. Canada West Door Slammers Group A, we need you to the rear of staging to be laddered. One more time. Oh boy, Dave Gamble struggling for traction, to say the least. lights up the tires for the first 100 feet of the quarter mile. Terry Denome gets the win, 11:42 on the 1085 dial, good enough to get the job done. And Randy Couric. Randy Couric in the right lane, working on a dial of 1065, trying to run down Carl Jamieson. Looks like he's going to get there. Gets to the stripe first with a 1080 on the 1065 dial. Drastically altered wheelbase. Klaus Scherbeck turns it red over there in the right lane, so El Chupacabra is coming back. That's right, 1072 on the 1069 dial, just for good measure. The Street Outlaws, No Prep Kings All-Stars versus Canada. So I'm thinking Michael Mahoney's looking pretty good here. Yep. 11:45 on the 11:44 dial. Took a ton of stripe, but that's okay. It all worked out. Norm Fleenor and Mark Belland out there. Norm left lane. Outlaw non-electronics. Outlaw non-electronics. You are on standby. Please be ready to go. Outlaw Electronics, we will take you now. Come on down. Phil got Harry in the left lane for Old Acre Garage. Taking on Steve Chase. Steve Chase. Andrew Weave rowing through the gears in that little Austin, racing towards his own win light. So a couple of green lights, somebody's packing 11th thou. And it is in fact your winner, Brian Ritchie. Goes. Henry kind of threw it in there a little deep, and sure enough, he comes up on the red side. Frank Marcus moving on, 8:13 on the 811 dial. All stretch will be doing the chasing. So two green lights, just 4 thousandths apart. At the stripe, it is Paul Stretch moving on, gets to the finish line first by 39 thousandths. Two green lights, one a whole bunch better than the other. Doesn't look like Grant's going to catch him. So Ken Christensen moves on. He's one above the 832 dial. Wow, Tom Katnick doing a fantastic job of hanging on back here at the starting line. But it's going to be Brad Powell moving on. Powell with some room up top. So Aiden Katnick out in front. Can he get there first without going under? He sure can. 8:58 on the 8:53 dial. Aiden with the starting line advantage. He was awesome on the tree. So a couple of green lights, 11 thousandths of a second separate them. And it's Mike Kenworthy moving on, 8:18 on the 8:17 dial. Supine moving around a little bit in that left lane. And he gets the win. Dale Phillips. Steve Lowe and Mark Thompson. Steve Lowe's your winner. The battle of the red lights. Steve Lowe was the lesser offender. He was 10 red. Mark Thompson was red by 48. So Steve Lowe coming back.
And Ladre turns on the red light. right, by just 0.02 of a second, so Jeff Homan will be moving to round 4. Oh, attention to the pits, attention to the pits. Street Machine C, we need you to the rear of staging. Street Machine B, we need you to the rear of staging. Street Machine B, bravo, we need you to the rear of staging. Veronica Hodgson turns on the red light. Keith Peterson will be moving on into the quarterfinal rounds of Street Machine C. Pair of green lights, and at the quarter-mile mark, we'll give it to Colleen Davis, only 7th thou off the mark, hanging on against Cassie Tippie. Terry Hookston's fully staged alongside Paul Oldeker. And Hookston's couldn't be patient enough on the line, leaves on the red light. Carmen was disqualified out of the race, but Fillion will be reinstated and has the bye run. Red on the tree for Jim Banky. He is knocked out in E3. Monroe will best Powell. McCartney goes 11:07, 109 miles an hour. TJ Stagg 10:49 at $1.30. Ross Walker turns it red. Warner leaves with the wheels high in the air. Attention in the pits, attention in the pits. Street Classic and Street Machine A finalists. We need you both to the lanes. Street.
So Rob Monroe had the bye run. Flathead powered, that number 43, dialed in at 16:47. Clive McKnight now going to try and run him down. Looks like he's going to be able to do it handily. Catches him just after 1,000 feet. Kind of strange looking little puff of smoke there as he appeared to get off the gas. Race was actually won by him having the lesser red light. Standby call going out to Electronic Outlaw. Outlaw Electronics, this is your standby call. Please be ready to go. Ray Murphy over Ryland Cook. Roger Winter not able to keep it in the beams. Hawk Lee is your winner. Dialed 1071 in the little red hot rod. Let's see how close he comes to that. How about 1089? Hapsgar in the right lane, 32 Plymouth. He's dialed 1050. Gonna have to try and run down the 1936 Chevy of Frank Elgie. '38 pickup truck. Well, he got a nice light. He was 20 on the tree. Got a 50 light. Now let's see how close he gets to the 1151 dial. How about 11:51 with a 9? That's pretty close, I'd say. Yeah. So Andy Fisher, all by himself. 28 red light. That's all right. Then goes 11:49 on the 11:42 dial. That's also all right. At 11:03, Ralph Ehlers dialed 1350. So Ehlers out in front in the wagon. Can he stay there? The Comet's coming on strong. Paul Carr is moving on to round number 3. 11:16 on the 11:03 dial. Will Zurich rowing through the gears. Colin Moore out front trying to stay there. Will Zurich gets it done to the stripe first by 63 thou. Comes up 11:17 on the 11 Earl Tippy. Couple of first gen Novas. Both these guys hitting the tree. Wow, what a drag race. Tippy 008, then one above. Now Vic Senra and Tim Cordner. Couple old pick-me-up trucks. Tim Cordner was the lesser offender of a double red light situation. His 1958 Oldsmobile. Car weighs about 10 pounds less than a Sherman tank. Herbson's your winner, comes up 1371 on the 1358 dial. So we'll make a call now for Outlaw Non-Electronics. Outlaw Non-Electronics, we need you now. Outlaw Non-Electronics, this is your call to the lanes. Well, here we go with Nostalgia Gas. Doug Poirier not able to make the call, turning it into a single for Mike Mahoney. Mike Mahoney, left side, 38 Plymouth. Goes 11:48 on the 11:44 dial. So there's Kirk trying to run him down. Dial 1065, gets the job done. Gets to the stripe first by 43 thou. Did not parlay that into a win light. Now Phil Stewart with the bye, the Flying Scotsman. 047 red.
Races away on green lights. The Cavalier chasing down the Firebird. Quarter mile mark. Paul Stretch takes it. Steve Lowe has problems set in and lifts out at about 1,000 feet. Well, Brian Ritchie way better on the tree, and he'll take it by over a 1/10. Brian Ritchie moves into the quarterfinal round. Hayden Katnick drives around Frank Marcus and makes the pass. That race decided all on the starting line. This one was just decided on the starting line. Mike Sapine, half a second on the tree, and yeah, sure enough, no contest top end. Mike Kenworth with the easy pass.
So there's our rerun, and it is going to be Mark Talbert getting the win. Jay Kinney, all kinds of issues on the run. Finally, well. So Luke Balo going down the track, dragging the chutes. Can he hang on? No, he cannot. Ray Hadford gets the win. Balo with a great light. He went 0.29, then kind of stuttered on the starting line. Not sure what was going on there. Here we go. Couple of green lights. Henry trying to stay out in front. Finish line says it is Nick Pruitt coming back for round number 3. 7:37 on the 695 dial. Good enough to get the job done. Here comes the tree. Darrell Hurst with smoke coming off the back tires. Wow. Well, that was pretty close. Jesus. Miles Butts with some issues on and off the gas a couple of times. However, can he get there? Oh, he goes silent at the worst time. So Pete Farrell wins. Help from Lordco Auto Parts. Steve Moore in the right lane, dialed 1151. So one of these drivers with a sizable starting line advantage. And when I say sizable, I'm not kidding. Well over 0.3 of a second advantage for Colleen Moore, and it gets her the win in a double breakout. Jeff Holman and Paul Oldacre. Oldacre in the Chevelle. Holman in the C10 pickup truck. Neither driver going to be bragging about their reaction times, but one was quite a bit better than the other, and that was your winner. Kind of rule number 1 in bracket racing, if you're going to take the stripe, in other words, if you're going to get to the finish line first, you'd like that to be by the smallest margin possible. The opposite is also true. If you're going to get there second, you'd want that to be by as much as possible. This is a pretty car. Monroe took place in the BC Drag It Challenge a little earlier this year. Is a huge fan of the drag and drives. How about 58 with a 0 on the 57 dial? Double. So Glenn Fillingham taking on John Buczynski. Fillingham in the AMC Hornet, trying to run down the AAA Cuda, and he does get it done. 10:32 on the 1029 dial, good enough. Matt Warner, John McCartney out there, couple of Ford guys. McCartney out front trying to stay there, goes too quick. McCartney had the starting line advantage, and a sizable one. We don't have Irene Cocatello. She's a no-show this morning. McNichol on a freebie. Goes 0-11 on the tree, then 10-13 on the 10-12 prediction. So Derek Rose, that 27 Roadster, gets a freebie. Launch kind of hard, then back off for a little bit, then get back on the throttle. All of that is by design to try and dial the car into a particular number. Normally that number would be 1090, but they get to pick a number this weekend. So Warren Jacobson gets the win light, gets to the stripe first, goes 1120 on the 1118 dial. So Dan Parsons predicts 1095. 1097, good enough to get the job done. Wow, just 3 thou difference in reaction time. This race is on at the finish line. Who's getting it? It is Jamie Roth. One above with a 9 on the 10:06 dial. So Reese Piccarello and Will Friesian, and it is Reese moving on. 10:42 on the 10:30 dial is good enough to get the job done. Wow, Winterbottom makes a hard right turn during the wheels up launch. That car rarely goes straight, but it typically goes a little straighter than that. There goes Doug Marshall, working on a 10 flat dial. Here comes Ryan Johnston in the Corvette. Can he get there? Yes, he does. Wind light on. 11:51 on the 8:51 on the 850 dial.
And corner goes red. So with that, Paul Carr moves on to the semifinal round. And it'll be Daryl Tippy. Fisher, too impatient on the tree, turns on the red light by 3 thou. Well, this one will go the way of Hermsen. Will Zorich turns it red. So one super shifter wins the day. The other one, no dice.
Take on Richard Schrader. So Lee Grant was, I believe, past the 8th mile before Richard Schrader got his light, but Richard ain't going to get there. Outlaw, non-electronics. Non-electronic Outlaw, you are on standby. Oh, man, Ray Murphy had an almost 4-second wait on the starting line. 7. That little Ford loves going down the track, let me tell you. LG way out there in front. Can he hang on? Here comes Monroe Sr. Monroe Sr. gets it done. How about 895? Hawk Lee. That pretty 32 Ford, Hemi powered. Trying to run down Robin Redding. Robin Redding able to hang on, goes dead one. We got 4 bulbs lit. Here comes the tree. Well, somebody packing 0.2 of a second. I'm pretty sure he knows it as you see the brake pedal being applied up there at the top end. Garnet Rose is going to round number 2. Kevin Garlock. According to my wife, I called him Garlic yesterday. She's not going to let it go. So Brian Heffel taking on Rob Love. Not sure if it's Rob Love. I think it should be Bob Love. Bob Love's your winner, 881 on the 876 dial. On the track. Oh, neither driver going to brag about their reaction times, but Dufour did have the better light, and at the finish line, he's got the win light. Rob Monroe and Barry Patterson. Monroe out front already in the little 31 Model A hot rod. Goes 9 flat on the 887 dial. Couple of good green lights. Powell trying to hang on, and he does. 845 on the 844 dial. Powell to the finish line first by just 14 thousandths of a mile. Automatic player in the semifinal round, and wow, it's a good thing he did have the bye because he went up in smoke. So a couple of green lights. And it's Brian Ritchie with the win light on. No surprise. He was 008 up front. Oh, yeah, baby. We got 2 holes firing all the way down the track, and the result is a 653, 215 mile an hour pass for Nate Gagnon. Now it's going to be Jim Schellenberg on a single. Oh, this is looking good. How about 687, 203? Very, very close to what he ended the day running yesterday. Went 685. Racing over there in the right-hand lane. Is your Door Wars 12 winner? Check out the reader board, baby. 646, 218 miles an hour. That's showing some muscle. Derek Rose. Derek Rose in the little roadster trying to run down the Chevy 2 Nova of Warren Jacobson. Looks like he's going to get there, but is it by too much? No, it's actually Warren to the stripe first by 5 thou. Parsons in the right lane behind the wheel of the blue Duster. Kevin McNichol in the lane, or in the left lane behind the wheel of his red Nova. At the finish line, it is Kevin McNichol moving on, 10-17 on the 10-16 dial. And a half ahead of the black Corvette. Ryan Johnston turns it red. Terry Charles is going to the final round. Dial 1009 in the blue 64 Comet. Thinking Reese is in tough shape here. Jamie Roth moving on. Had the starting line advantage by about a 10th and a half. Mike Robinson and Kevin Garlock, and it's Robinson coming out on top. None of that guy's still out here doing what he does. And doing as good a job of it as he does. So matching lights right to the 10th thou. Nobody's winning this on a whole shot, I'll tell you that. Garnet Rose is 2 above.
For you Autobody Done Right Performance Model T. Ultra versus Roadster, and Dufour turns it red by 10 thousandths of a second. Rob Monroe Sr. on to round number next, and Outlaw Non-Electronics.
Blair Criddle is in tough shape back here at the starting line. His reaction time did not put him in my final round. Randy Hermsen working on a dial of 1371. Paul Carr dials the Comet at 1112. And it's Randy Hermsen going to the final. How about that? Well, if you're watching on the starting line, there should have been more difference in when they left. Oh my. '67 would have. Sponsor all of our junior classes here at Mission Raceway. They also help out Jeff Holman.
I don't see any reason why you should stop now. May have been a good pick on that one too. Monroe with the whole shot. Monroe with the win. So Rob Monroe Jr. moving into the final round against Matt Warner.
And is under. Kind of the double whammy win for Rob Monroe. And here we go. Well, gotta hand it to Aiden Katnick. Yep. Had the starting line advantage, then goes so Richie on the single says, I'm going to go 795. Puts a 798 up there on the reader board. So that sets up our final round. Look at that. Schellenberg leads the way. Ken Raw. Yeah, Austin's going to reel him in. Wow, Jim Schellenberg gets it done. What did I say? It might take just the slightest hiccup on Austin's run for him to make those final runs. And I do remember in a discussion I had with him years ago, Oregon versus Washington. Wow. Double red light. It's going to be Nick Pruitt moving on. He was the lesser offender. Mark now Talbert. Oh yeah, both cars leave well at the finish line. It is going to be Ray Hadford. 683 on the 675 dial, good enough to get it done. The margin at the finish line, just 15 thousandths of a second. That'll Hey, Keith Peterson's your winner. The white 68 dart goes all the way today. 1170 on the 1159 dial, good enough to get the job done. I don't know what happened to Jeff Holman at the finish line. Oh, I see. Final round, Monroe, tower side, dial 1057. Warner in the right lane, dial 1058. Both cars leave well, just 2 thou separate them back here. Oh boy, this should be good. At the finish line, it is Matt Warner. Goes 1059 with a 0 on the 1058 dial. He had the 2,000th advantage on the starting line. Finish line says it is Terry Denome getting it done. 1090 on the 1089 dial will do the job. He got to the stripe first by 18 thou. Dial 1370. There he goes. Daryl Tippy. Dial 1066 in the little Chevy 2. The big black Oldsmobile out front for now, but here comes the Chevy 2. Can he hang on? It's going to be Daryl Tippy. Goes dead 5 on the 1066 dial. Had the starting line advantage. Randy Hermson to the stripe first, but in doing so is under the...
Two green lights, leaving at just about the same time. Charles pulling the distance in front. Roth trying to chase. Doesn't make the pass. Yes, he does. Roth 5 now off the dial. He'll take the win in Street Classic A. Both drivers with green lights, top end of the racetrack. Whole shot goes to Kevin McNichol. Takes that one away. McNichol wins yet another race in 2024, this time taking Street Machine A.
Dialed in at 987. Couple of green lights, one drastically better than the other. Mike Robinson is in big trouble. Garnet Rose, one above with a 9.
Well, that one decided on the starting line as Love turns on the red light right at the hitch. Rob Monroe Sr., 1 for 2 on the final rounds he's in today. A battle of the models. Love this one. Robin Redding taking off first, and Monroe Sr. doing the chasing. This will be a close one at the top end. And it'll go the way of Monroe. Monroe dragging around Robin Redding. Redding took too much out of the brakes at the top end. Rob Monroe Sr., 2 for 2 in the finals.
Final round of the Door Slammers. One more time, Door Slammers brought to us this weekend by Norm Wilson and NC Engines. And your winner is Aiden Katnick. Wow. Nice job. 854 on the 853 dial. Aiden had the starting line advantage, 026 to 063.
And now bumping forward, Schellenberg. Both racers off. Close race. Gignon out in front. Gignon for the win by 0.4 of a second. Nate Gignon takes it at Top Fuel Harley, his first win at the Titanium Strip of 2024.
Nick Pruitt leaves too early. Ray Hadford is your winner. Hadford 028 on the tree, then 686 on the 681 dial.